And now we really are live.
Actually.
Oh my gosh. Welcome back to today's version of Live and Unscripted and Creative Unraveling.
Yep. Today we're calling it
Live and Unraveled.
Live and Unraveled. Or creatively unscripted. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of like Live and Unraveled. That's what it feels like has been going
Very
on.
much.
And you know, I think it's not just us. In fact, I know it's not just us. There's an energy on this planet that is creating this unraveling. It's causing and forcing us to expand and to grow. And damn, we're getting that was good.
Good job, Jen.
We're getting a practice ground, like really big practice ground. Okay, and also just FYI, if I look dazed and confused, it's because one, that's how I have felt for the last week, but two, I'm actually sitting on the opposite side of Leah that we usually do, but the camera is showing that it's in the, so it's kind of freaking me out a little bit.
What?
I know. It's the simple things. So it is September 26th, Thursday. Yeah.
Where do we even start?
Where do we even start? Breathing. We're going to start with breathing.
Yeah. I like that.
Simple exercise that I'm so grateful that I've learned. There's lots of different ways to incorporate breathing into your daily rituals, routines, your healing, your letting go. I like to do it here as a way to just get really present right here, right now, in this space where we can come together and allow inspiration to be the guide.
What was the story? Sorry to interject, but I'm trying to remember the story we heard on the call this morning about the mom asking, growing up, this boy, well, he's a man now, but he'd see this look come across his mom's face, and she's like, just give me a minute. And if you didn't give her that minute, I know that look from my parents.
I think he says something like, all hell would break loose, or I knew I would die.
Yeah, like my life.
His mom was on the edge, but what she was saying is, I need to pause, and I'm going to breathe. I've done a lot of breathing this week, along with a lot of crying. So let's breathe. We love to do the hand on the heart, just extra connection. We're just do box breathing today, which I believe originated with the militaries. And it is typically a 5 count. Do what feels best for you. 5 count, intake through your nose, a holding of the inhale, a releasing, it's all using the same count, a releasing of the breath through the mouth, 5 count or whatever feels good for you, and then holding the exhale. We'll do it with you a couple of times. I'm going to invite you to do it with a downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever feels most comfortable for you. It's a way to just really be right here without all of the other things. So we'll do them together, breathing in for 5 count. Holding that inhale. Releasing. Really get it, push it out. And then hold that exhale. And let's do it again. Let's do 3 sets with downward gaze or closed eyes, and at your own pace. As you do this, I'm going to invite you and encourage you to push the breath farther, down into your belly, into your sit bones,
Right down to your toes.
right down to your toes. I love how it feels. It's such a simple way to just chillax and bring things into focus and into, I like to say, bringing the heart and the mind, even the gut, into a coherent state. Hey, Andrea! Andrea, I'm glad you're here. Dude, we just had a broadcast over. We thought we were broadcasting on this page. So thank you to those of you who are on the Righteous Rebels Facebook group. We thought we were on this page. We thought we were on my private page. We thought we were on the YouTube channel. We also thought we were on Instagram, which we actually were on Instagram, and there were people there. So sorry.
Wait, you were like this much on Instagram?
Yeah, it was showing like this. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
yeah.
so we closed the broadcast and we're doing it again. So thank you for being here.
What I love about the breathing thing, though, like, there's always a feeling of, like, I don't know, I get a brightness feeling, or, like, just sometimes an image will come into mind, or, like, it's just when you have enough time to just slow down, and things just pop into your head, and it's so delightful.
It gives you that moment to be present so that you're not, like, reactively or stupidly making a decision that you're going to regret later, or into it's telling us like too low FPS. I don't know what
Frames
this means.
per second. Something with your camera.
And it creates less collateral damage in your life and the lives of those around you. So even if you just do that, when you find yourself in a moment of just crunchiness or like, angst or concern or worry, just even a...
Okay, but can I ask a question?
No.
Too bad. So what really causes angst? Like, if we get down to the core of it, what actually creates angst in our lived experience?
Unknown. Not knowing.
Is it the unknown, or
it's fear?
Okay.
Of the unknown.
Okay, but where does fear come from?
My smart ass side wants to say, the devil!
No, that's not what I'm thinking.
Oh, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's the meaning we give to things.
Oh, yeah.
The meaning that we give to a situation. So, for example, in this last week's adventure, because it really has been an amazing...
it's still not even been a full week. Like 2 hours shy.
Right? But it's really the meaning you give to, I feel... there is truth to that. Most definitely. And I like, as we're unraveling this conversation and this story of how this week has gone, I really like to play into the different meanings we could have given, or why there was some more crunchy moments and more not so crunchy moments. And what is that face?
It has really pushed my edges. It has brought up... Why are you laughing at me?
Because I'm like, my smart ass is like, and that the idea that you think you have edges comes into mind, and the meaning of that, and why do you have edges to be pushed, and like, it's just all this idea of concepts. And
so I love the deep stuff. Like, I don't necessarily do well with like surface information, surface conversations. I like conversation and connection that really has meaning, and it has depth to it, and information that has depth to it, and it's not all of the let me teach you what you've already been taught for 100 years, because that's bullshit stuff. I call bullshit. And there's just deeper. I love heart. I love inward. And it's mind bending. Oh wait, it's supposed to be, because your mind's not in control. Your heart is. And so we've been reading this Osho
courage,
on his talk on courage, which is in a book. And I have been absolutely loving it, and at moments having my mind bent, because I'm like, wait a minute, you mean courage is actually living in a way that's dangerous, that is like facing fear, and just mind bending, and like what intelligence is, and versus content. Like, it just, I can't even think of...
and aliveness. And...
Yeah, death and aliveness for sure. Let me tell you, I have felt very alive this week in ways that have been so uncomfortable. and so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we've been reading this book on courage, and I'm like, I'm not even really sure how to put it in actual like human words. The depth to which I feel it at this point, I think partly because I'm still processing. It's still sitting right here. I think that's just the gratitude of it.
That you're getting a practice ground of the things that you're learning.
Yeah, which we say that all the time. Like, you're going to learn this stuff, but you're going to get a practice ground. Otherwise, it's just information. There's no way to assimilate it into your being or connect with it. Like, you have to practice it. And damn, we've been getting a lot of opportunities to practice. So those of you who don't know what's been going on, Leah spent most of the summer in Canada, and we got to hang out with her boys in Idaho for the month of August, and she brought them back to Canada the end of August. When she was coming back to the States, they were like, no, you can't go back. And then there was a little mercy shown. They're like, okay, you can go back. This is the 3rd of September. You can go back, but you have to be back in Canada by the
19th.
No later than the 19th.
Last week.
What? That gave us 14 days to get ready?
Mm-hmm.
15 days?
So sudden shift in plans altogether. I thought I had more time on that visa, but I was told that I had spent too many days in the U.S. and I need to reestablish myself in Canada. So, yeah, that was definitely a big shift.
Like, what the? What? Wait, we were gonna like sit down and really look at what we want to start moving forward with, because life is like, hello, you're going to deal with us first. And like what pieces we wanted to pull out of that, how to really share our experience without all of the guilt or shame that maybe we've been hanging on to, or the judgments or voices of other people. And then it's like, oh, I guess we're not going to do it that way.
Yeah.
So we figured out how to go ahead.
Wait, I'm curious where you're going.
Just like how to have you be here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was
and me there.
Yeah, there was some options we had to navigate through. That piece wasn't easy either.
No.
But it's one of those places where,
especially knowing that you're going to be a part, like to do it and not have to like feel all of the feels and the emotions while staying centered and in a right mind.
Yeah.
And surrendering.
Well, and just being open to inspiration and that little voice, because we all have it. We all are connected to, whether it's God or source or universe or however you want to put it. But in this case, it was a little voice that you got during a drive, and it's being quiet enough to really hear it, and being open to, I'm going to say, entertaining the thoughts around it and what you can gain from it. So this little voice that came in the drive was about coming to Lethbridge. I'm originally from the eastern side of Canada. Just moving through some challenging changes and really learning how to not get pulled back into old patterns, and because we all have a role that we play for the people around us, and
a belief system that we've been born into or brought into, whether it's family culture, religious culture, area culture, and we live in these systems. Most of the time we don't even recognize it. Like, we think we're free, but we're free inside of these systems to a point. And so it's when you learn new things and you feel new things and you're like, I know I can't go back to what I was doing before.
Because you're at a point of growth, and to go back to something that you were in, it's like once you see things a certain way, once you've had a certain level of growth, go back to. It's like, say you've passed to grade 5, and then now you're being asked to go back to grade 2. Well, I've kind of gotten past grade 2, and the relationships are different, and I'm different, and I see the world different. So it was I think the craziest thing was just the calm that came with that thought, even though there was a lot of like, but I don't know anyone in this.
There was
city.
a lot of angst.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pushback, a lot of like fight in that, because our piece of us that is scared and that knows the known and all of the comforts of all of that wants to protect us, and it wants to fight back, and it fights back hard. We all do it. I would love to hear how, or in what ways you have experienced some of that pushback. Those spaces where you go, oh my gosh, I've learned this thing and it rings so true inside of my soul. And even though it feels so different or upstream, you know that going back to the old stuff would be like death. That like it would really halt your growth that way. I would love to hear what your experience with that is. So yeah, ours started with this information of like, oh, you got to come back for 6 months. You can either stay today and start your 6 months, or you can come back by the 19th and start your 6 months. And then just that drive, I was driving to a client, and all of a sudden in settles the thought of go to Lethbridge. I've never been to Lethbridge. I know of Cardston. I know of Lethbridge, but I know nothing else other than the name, and it's supposed to be a cool area. And there's the journey that has been to bring us here. Yeah.
So we did the process of going to see a lawyer and trying to understand what the next steps are.
To try and what's a path we can follow.
So, and then trying to find a place to live that's affordable, and just all of that. And it was so fascinating. You know, we both had seen this one place, and the pictures looked good. We talked to the manager several times.
3 times.
Yeah. and everything looked really good. We get the truck packed up. We get my car packed up.
We drive 9 hours.
9 hours, yeah. And we get to the place. We pull in. It's the evening. I think it was around 8 o'clock or something.
Yeah.
And
we're excited.
Yeah, we're going to take that week to settle in. This past week to settle in, and we get there, and right away there's a feel to this place, and
it's not only a no, it's a hell no to the 1,000th degree.
Like, I wanted to cry, because I'm like, if I don't stay here, I don't have anything else lined up. I don't know anyone here. Like, I was, in my mind, I was losing my mind. I'm like, how am I going to be okay being here? And there was just a feel.
And I'm sitting across the parking lot watching her, having my own feels. I'm watching her have a small freak out, and I'm thinking, there's no way I'm leaving her here. But I know nothing. I know nobody. How are we even going to do this? And it's like, you feel yourself want to go to freak out, because your brain's like on now, overdrive. I'm like, we got it.
Yeah, we got to do that.
It's like, slow down, breathe, surrender.
This is where we're at.
And then in the next second, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was challenging. But once we settled that, this is definitely not the place, and
what's the next right step we can take?
And in that moment, it had been a long day. So the next right step in that specific moment was to find a safe place to stay for the night. And we found a place.
For me, it was like reaching out to someone I know who I know knew somebody up here, my client, and it's like, help, right now. They reach out and they're like, ooh, get out now. That's not a.
So why we didn't think to check that beforehand. Learning curve.
Because we trusted.
Yeah.
We trusted the lady we talked to.
Yeah.
So it turns out, and there is no judgment with this. it's just not what we choose to be in, and that this was a place for transients and drug use and prostitution, and it's just not how we want to have our surroundings be. So I wish the absolute best to those who have housing there, and grateful that they have a place to stay and that they're safe that way.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel right for our souls and our hearts. So
then it was settling into a hotel, and then just going on Facebook Marketplace and seeing what's available in the area and messaging people,
and the next day finding another place to stay.
Yeah.
It's been nonstop.
But you know what was beautiful about that, staying at that place, even though we had some issues there, was the breakfast. We had breakfast. We're still in research mode, and we had the most beautiful Venezuelan man who was actually celebrating his birthday that day.
60th birthday?
And, yeah, 67.
Oh, 60s.
Yeah, and he was so friendly, and he's just talking and introducing his grandkids, and
he had the coolest hair, like the coloring and how he had it. I was drawn, like.
And he came to sit with us, and we're chatting, and the rest of his family's coming by, and it was beautiful, because it was a wonderful reminder of humanity and of just getting to know strangers.
And it was cool because they didn't speak English very well, and Leah speaks Spanish, so it was wasn't the language barrier except for me, and it started off this feeling for me of like, there are good people. Mm-hmm. There are good people. Remember, there are good people. Even if you don't know who they are or where they're at, there are good people. And I love the feel of just, there are good people, keep trusting.
Yeah. I think that was a really beautiful way to set the tone for what do we want to attract in the next little bit, as we're trying not to panic and stay in a good space with each other, and tap into our resources. Like
that piece right there, staying in good space with each other, knowing that we were both having probably our own triggers and like moments, and to be able to talk it out and say, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that, and to just stay present. Mm-hmm. A lot of breathing, tears, obviously. Before we go any further, I just want to say, Andrea, thank you for joining us live today. It's nice to know that we're talking to you, a person. And thank you for your comments of that you're in your most happy place. I see your videos. I see it in you, sister. Like, I see it in you. And he said, but you remember times where you fought with yourself daily about change not happening. Yeah. I love you too. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to like, let's connect. Let's have you on. Let's have you on as a guest. That would be freaking amazing. And if I don't remind you when I get back to the States, or even here, like reach out and say, hey, remember you wanted me to be on? Because right now I kind of got a lot going on.
I can remind her too.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, it started off with that. And then later in the day, like a couple hours later, we went and had some food at, we were going to go to a Tim Hortons.
Oh, yeah.
And instead, which is a popular coffee place, especially on the East Coast, they're like on every corner. They're not so much here. But we went to a different place, and the lady that
actual food.
Yeah, the lady that was serving us just had a feel, and it was like two restaurants in one. There's like an Asian Thai place and a hamburger place. So Leah ate at the Asian Thai, I ate at the hamburger.
It was so funny because I'm ordering with her. She looks at Jen because she's standing at the other place. She's like, 1 minute. And I didn't quite get it. So I thought Jen had already ordered. And then the next thing I know, I've paid. And then the lady goes over to the other spot and takes Jen's order. Like, she was so delightful.
But what was beautiful about that is she did have this, she had a sparkle in her eyes, and she had an actual joy in serving and connecting with
like
us.
smiles when she
Yeah.
came to bring us our food. She didn't have to. We could have, been asked.
They could have
to go-
said,
"Yeah."
here's your name or your number, and
Yeah.
no, they brought it to our table.
I
and-
just loved watching her serve the other people, and like her whole disposition was so like it wasn't just put on, like it was just she was radiating joy. And then when the people left, it was just us because we hung around there for a while because we had nowhere else to go. We hadn't figured out the next step yet. But it was so funny because then we started talking to her and just making the comment like, "Wow, you just have so much joy, and it's
When
so
she
beautiful
shared
to
her,
see you."
her joy and her story of cooking and where it came from. And again, it was that feeling of like, there are good people out there. And you're going to find them in places like this. Pay attention. Pay attention to the unfolding. Pay attention to the little bits of nurturing and love that you're getting in these like really uneasy, unsure moments. And it came from the unlikeliest of places, like the woman taking our order.
Yeah.
And before we left, I walked around to a place where I knew I could see her, like behind the counter, and I just said, "May I hug you?" Like I needed the hug. And I'm holding back tears, and it was just beautiful. And I think being able to, I know being able to stay in that energy and recognizing those things is what helped propel us into the next right step.
Yeah.
And
Well, I love that how you say that because it's still it's such a buzzword now because we're using neuroscience, but our reticular activating system of like we're gonna look for and attract the things that we're thinking of, and I love that you bring that up. That even though we were in a hard space, that there was a lot of unknown, we still were actively looking for the good, for the positive, for our people, for just good energy.
exactly. Well, it's like you're bringing back to memory, like when I'm sitting there in that restaurant and I'm watching her, the brainy pieces of me that were wanting to take over and have panic wanted to be like, "Do you have a place we could stay?" Like I wanted to beg, like, do you have something like?"
Right? There was, definitely moments. So,
And so what we did is, I haven't been really, this is another thing that I find interesting that's coming to mind right now is I haven't been super great always at reaching out to my resources or connecting and being like, "Oh, so-and-so knows this," or I can put a question out on Facebook and say, "Hey, any of my friends have connections in Lethbridge or the area?" And really getting the opportunity to practice the 6 degrees of separation, which is how where we're at today. But before we get there, we decided to stay in a hotel because now we're having to figure out, this is the other piece, is that we weren't anticipating, is we came here thinking we were going to settle into a place.
right,
And
for the month.
I was going to be here. We're going to unload our cars, get set up, make it homey, and have some fun while we're here. And we're getting to know the city, just not in ways we anticipated. But what has happened is, now I forgot what I was going to say is,
where we were staying. We thought we were settling in.
yeah, dang it. It'll come. It was a fleeting memory of what I was thinking in some of those moments of, just the surrender and letting go.
I think part of that too is just really following what feels right and what your body already knows. I think we were going to stay at this one place and something just didn't feel right.
Well, that's the piece, is we came here expecting these things with a certain thinking, it's going to be maybe around this amount of dollars that we're going to need to spend to get set up and to do all the things, pay the cleaning deposit, pay the first month's rent, all of those things. And now we're not paying for housing. We are paying for housing, just not in a way, and that was going to be far more expensive because now it's 13 or 14 days of hotel costs, or Airbnb, which there aren't very many around here. And then all of the food and the stuff that we were going to cook for ourselves, and now there's like, oh, the eating out, and how do we do that healthy, and how do we have a cooler, just all of these, there were like everything up in the air. And it just, dang, and it's been so amazing to feel all of the angst, because I have felt angst every day, really, until today.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure till today, but yeah, and then it's just stay open, keep taking steps forward, stay open,
Watching the unfolding.
I think one of the coolest things though, so we found a place to stay. We decided we're gonna just settle for 3 nights here, and let that be okay.
At a motel.
Yeah.
At a hotel.
And then
And it's not just that, it's the taking stuff in and out.
Oh my gosh,
Because
yeah.
we don't want stuff exposed in the back of a pickup, so we're hauling clothes and bikes and totes, and it's not just, let's go stay at a hotel. It's so many things that have to move back and forth.
Yeah. So, I kept looking at places, arranging for, viewings and stuff. And there was this one that really I kept being drawn to. It was what I felt was like more than I wanted to spend, but not too much more, but like I just kept being drawn to it. And I arranged other appointments and whatever. We saw 2 that day. The second one was the one I kept being drawn to. And I'm so grateful that I just followed that intuition. I said to Jen, I don't know what this is, but it's out of my price range, but I have to go. Like, I don't know what it is, I just have to go. And even if it's just to be in that environment or meet someone, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and the first place was nice enough. I mean, it was little, it was definitely more affordable, but...
Yeah, so we went to meet this lady, and right away, like, she just had a beautiful energy to her.
And cool shoes.
Yes, and very cool shoes, ultra shoes. And then we just got chatting. She showed us the place. She's like, I'm not into leases because people break them and life comes up. And
she says, I got more by feel.
Yeah.
It's like, oh snap.
Yeah.
Like, I like this woman. Like, she just gave me a peek into who she is by saying she goes by feel.
And by the time we were done there, we were invited to go for running the next day with a little running group that
we talked about the race I host and running shoes and just all the things. And
so it was just beautiful. Like, and after that, I had no desire to go see anything else. Like, it felt so good, and just the care I felt from her. And after running, it just settled that even more for me. We spent almost an hour and a half with her, and we ran, and she's like, I'm so glad you came because I wanted to let you know you had it. And just the gratitude and the feeling like, one, I feel like I can talk to this person if I need something. Like, I'm not in this city alone now.
And there's so many shared interests and understandings and intelligences, and it's so beautiful.
Oh, and the night before you had the conversation with Carrie.
Oh yeah. So again, there's so many pieces in the unfolding of this. It's the love you, sister. Thank you. And yes, let's chat soon. The unfolding of like, okay, I put a Facebook post out. I'm like, I have resources. I am choosing to be better at using them. And Janet Thurgood, who we've had on live and unscripted, originally is from up here, has family here, hooked us up with her cousin. And while we're in the hotel, her cousin, we have a beautiful chat, like almost like old friends. And she picks us up the next day, which is a Saturday. I apologize if you guys can hear the scratching.
There's a cute dog.
There's a cute dog that has now come home and wants to be inside. Drove us around for 2 hours and showed us all the different parts of the city and this is and the that's and the you got to know where the hospital's at, which actually came into play that very next day. in a beautiful way, because the very next day, another person reached out from this original contact and said, "Do you want to come have dinner? We're easy to find. We live right by the hospital."
That was so funny.
I was like, "Well, we happen to know where that's at." So, man, it's just been. We moved out of the hotel on Monday. Moved into.
Yeah, at dinner, we found like we had so much, just
It
her
was
and I had,
easy.
yeah, like we just had a lot of commonalities in our story, good conversation, and she offered us to, both her and her boyfriend offered us to stay in their house. So and it's so funny because they live a block away from each other, and they're in the process of moving in. So to one house, so I'm just like, it's so mind-blowing how that all works out.
Well, we stayed 2 days at Elizabeth's, and then she's like, "There's a situation. You can only stay here for 2 days. My kiddo's actually, she's not comfortable with it." And we're like, "Okay." And we came over. We knew we were going to come over here, and there was a little bit of angst. And what was really cool is they knew that, and they felt it, and they've created a really beautiful place for us to stay, we believe, for the next 6 days until we can move into the apartment. It's so amazing. Like, just the trust and the surrender that I have had to practice myself. Like, I can't even speak for Leah, but for myself, and noticing all my thoughts and where my brain wants to have freakouts and control and scurry to figure things out instead of just breathing and trusting and letting go and saying, "I know you can do this far better than I can." And what we had planned now is far better than anything we had planned or could have planned. And before we came here, like, go ahead and finish out. I want to talk about I've been talking about shedding old skin.
Oh, okay. I just think really what we thought we had planned, and I think this applies in all areas of life. You know, we can plan and we can think that this is how things are going to work out, and we can, you know, think that we've plan for all these outside factors and how we want to be prepared, and we've thought of all the scenarios, and then we're in a direction, and then God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, says, you know, that's great, and it'll bring you this far, which is what I feel this experience has done. This brought you to Lethbridge, but where you think you're going is actually not where you're going at all. It was an opportunity to have a decision of like, am I going to continue to move up, or I'm going back to what feels safer and more comfortable, which is really not, because you know better now.
Right? Safe, same. You stay the same. And I think that's one of the things that I've been recognizing for myself is how easy it is to say you want to do the things, and how easy it is to like find a way to do them but still stay the same because it feels safe. But you know that it's not. It's like a slow death. And we've been talking a lot about, not a lot, but you know, surrender in terms of like coaching and things in the corporate world or the business world is
Anti-fragile.
So some of those I'm gonna just call them buzzwords that way. We're getting a really beautiful experience in teaching and coaching on that, in trusting deeper elements of that, and in deeper ways. So, oh my gosh, it just
Shedding skin.
shedding skin. So it's been interesting. I've been feeling these feelings of like, I know I'm getting ready to experience a growth period and an expansion period, and maybe you know this feeling too. It's like there's discomfort, and there's this just like kind of, I don't even know how to describe the feeling other than it's uncomfortable, and in some ways it hurts, and there's a knowing, but there's not a knowing, and the skin's coming off and you feel it. And it's, I have this picture of like when Leah talks about the character in like is it like the Hulk movie or the that has like the stone as their, I can't think of the name anyway, and how that stone's being pulled off, the shedding of the skin. And yesterday it was put to me like this, and I had never thought about it this way, but like the lobster has he's a crustacean. He has a hard, crunchy shell, and it's a protection. And I feel like I've been in a hard, crunchy shell for a while, living free. And in order for the lobster to grow, it has to shed its shell, which means once it shed that shell, which is a painful experience, its soft body is exposed and vulnerable. And yesterday when that came to presence, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's exactly how I've been feeling, is just recognizing my own belief system that still wants to hang on to old patterns that have been wanting to hang on to, old traditions that have been wanting to hang on, and old learning that I know no longer suits who I currently am and who I am destined to be. And it's been challenging. And so this week, just to feel like I got everything exposed, and to have to actually trust other people to watch out for me, or to say, hey, there's this connection, or there's this place, or this unfolding.
Or even just checking in.
The checking in with myself and with each other. And it's just been a painfully brutal learning experience. All done actually while being safe and still uncomfortable.
I just think it's cool. I think I've been marveling just the trust it takes for people to have to open up their homes and to say, yeah, you know, I can give you a hand out, and just I think I'm just marveling with where we're staying right now. It's so
he's
open.
Not even here.
Yeah.
He left this morning. We had dinner with him last night. He left this morning. He won't be back till tomorrow night.
And then the other place, it's always open, and our stuff is there.
Half of our stuff is there. Like,
it's fascinating to me how that's not like a relationship you just pick up on like out of nowhere.
And
but yet it totally is.
Absolutely. And that's the piece I wanted that just came to mind right now, is like recognizing who in our world, or who's being placed in our world, that actually encourages and supports growth. And this is a check-in for you. This is an invitation for you to check in with this for yourself as well, is who is actually in your space encouraging your growth, encouraging your letting go of what you've known, so that you can reach for something higher or further down the road. And it's been super fascinating to see who has reached out and who has checked in and who has shown care for our situation and made sure that we're safe. How many people have been like, well, we're concerned about you, and we get to say we're okay, and thank you for checking in, and thank you for offering the things that you've offered. And I think that's been an eye-opener for me too, is who's actually supporting my growth, and who is asking for me to stay in what is known or comfortable. It's been fascinating, and even that pokes a little bit or a lot bit.
Yeah, because I think the people that we thought would reach out to check in aren't the people that are checking in. It's actually more like just not very often conversations.
They're deep connections
mm-hmm.
that we don't hang with or talk to like on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And now these new beautiful souls in our world.
I just think it's so amazing. Like, I came here knowing no one, and we came here knowing no one, and now we have 4 points of contact.
Right. We also came with the intention,
yes,
to create community and a sense of family here before I leave. And by dang, it's happened in such a beautiful way that I could have never imagined, and probably wouldn't have happened that way had we been able to stay in the place that we originally had planned. It's just been a really beautiful check-in for me of what am I thinking. I have choices, and the choice is to react or to respond, and to recognize that I get to choose my attitude about this. I get to choose how I move forward in it, even if I don't know, and how I feel.
I think for myself, that's part of it for sure. But I think something I've learned over the, we all have challenging things that happen in our lives. But I think what keeps me in a good space is, okay, what am I supposed to be learning here? I'm trying to remember what it was that was so frustrating to me, and like, it shook me so much, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but I remember having the thought, okay, what am I supposed to be learning? What am I supposed to be paying attention to? What, so I just try to ask myself that.
Well, and it just keeps coming to mind. We did a conversation, we did a live and unscripted in July, the beginning of July, where we talked about, are you choosing the dump or the oasis, and experience we had about leveling up. And just like we talked about in the beginning of this, is like, are you going to continue to move forward with what feels right, even if it's against everything that you know, or feels uncomfortable because you don't really know what's out there, or are you going to go back to what you know? Mm-hmm. And we had a very physical experience of dump versus oasis, and it's amazing to me how we keep getting that reminder, and for you too.
And I also think there's something amazing about when you choose what your soul is actually calling, what it's pulling to. There's a calm that settles. So I had seen this place. I really connected with the landlady and her husband, and it just, everything felt good. But I hadn't sent the deposit yet, and that night I didn't sleep well. And I woke up to just my fear nattering at me, and like, I could be doing this and this and this, and like, just all the things were going through my head. And then once I procrastinated the whole next day too. The whole next day.
You know that feeling, like you're being stretched, and do I commit to this thing? It's the commitment piece.
Yeah.
It's the commitment piece.
But I can't tell you how much calm in my whole demeanor, and just, I felt this heaviness that I hadn't done this, and I knew I had to, but once I committed, I was committed. And then once I sent the deposit, there was just, I had a joy and I had a lightness, and I felt like almost on a high. Like, I don't know how it's all going to work out, but I just had a confidence and just of knowing that it just is, and this is what, I'm on the right path. And sometimes it's so challenging to trust that, because we're taught and it's drilled into us that we need to have all the steps lined up like this. But life is just never like that. Life is not like that. So why stay so focused on this is how it's supposed to be, and then when it doesn't go that way, we get all frazzled and like something's wrong, or we've done it wrong, or we didn't look at it this way. Instead, you can just be like, oh, okay, and just move with it. Life is supposed to flow.
Courage doesn't happen on the known path.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen from what you created back there. It doesn't happen from the past. Like, bringing that stuff up is death, because that's all dead. It's not there anymore. It's 10 minutes ago. It isn't here anymore. Yeah. Which is a crazy concept, and I've contemplated that one a lot, but just really being shown that of like, courage is living dangerously, meaning being willing to step into the unknown, being willing to trust that something bigger than you knows something different, and that piece in you that's bigger than this stuff.
It's those moments where, like, I think I've said this before, but I feel like I had more anxiety and more bouts of depression in the last 10 years of my life, because I was always filtering my decisions through what someone else thought I should be doing, or what society says motherhood should look like, or myself as a woman should look like, or
what being in a family looks like, or other forms of community.
And it's just so wild to me how much more calm and confident I feel moving in this place of surrender. Like, I find the hardest piece is trying to explain to people, because they want to know. They want
solid answers.
Yeah,
because they want to be comfortable.
Yeah, and they want you to explain it, and some of the stuff is just beyond explaining. All I have comfort in is, the only thing I have comfort in is knowing that there's a bigger picture that I don't understand, and that I feel I have to keep following the trust, and that it's all going to work out.
And it's that space of exchanging gratitude for anxiety. Mm-hmm. Like I've wanted to be like, oh, and just trusting and letting, and then going, holy cow. Like, the amount of gratitude, and then what that fosters, what that starts bringing forth when we're in that space of gratitude, it brings more opportunities to be grateful. And then the piece we've both talked about that we haven't mentioned yet is, even in all of the what feels like unrest and discomfort, there is
chaos.
Chaos. Total. It feels like, yes. There's a peace. There's a place in the scriptures, probably several places, where it says this peace beyond understanding. And I've had places in my life where I feel like that has played a role or come into play, and right here, right now, this is like probably the second time I have really experienced it to the depth that I feel it now. I'm making the decisions to make other changes in my life a year and a half ago was another big place. I just felt it rush in, and you can't deny it, and you don't know where it comes from, and you don't understand, like, whoa, why can all of this be happening? And it's the eye of the storm. It's like sitting in the eye of the storm. There's a peace. And I feel so much gratitude for that.
Absolutely. And I love that you bring that up, because it reminds me of something else that we've been talking about with the people in our world, of like, we wouldn't be here had there not been conversations with Janet a few years ago, right? Like, this has already been planned. There's a part that's already been done. And it's more, are we allowing ourselves to move through it and follow the guidance?
Courage.
Yeah, because we still have choice. Are we going to be dictated by what everyone else says that we should be doing, and says how we should act and how we should, love and whatever? Or do we follow the callings of our own hearts? We still always have a choice. But there are so many different realities that we are constantly getting the opportunity to choose what we're going to live.
I'm making faces because Louie's scratching the windows. I don't know if you can hear it.
It's probably time for us to wrap up and get dinner.
Oh yeah, I forgot about dinner. Mm-hmm. This has been a crazy week, and we still have a week before we can move in. And honestly, the parts of me that feel a bit battered are like, can we please just have some peace now and practice living in what we've been experiencing and learning, and the deep gratitude pieces, and while still being willing to stay open, that there could be possible changes.
Yep. It's cool. It's cool, not cool.
It's cool, not cool. I love, so one thing that keeps coming to mind is, people ask us what our program is, what we teach, what's our program, what's our coaching program. And the reality is, you are our coaching program. We have a lot of different skill sets and tools that we've learned and areas that we can pull from. And if we gave you a set program, we wouldn't be allowing you to be courageous in your coaching. with us and in your moving forward. And it's our job to really help you understand through our own experiences as well of what it means to be a righteous rebel, and to have the courage to live in that way that can feel really scary. And especially when you're always stepping into the unknown and trusting that there's such yumminess there for you. So, more to come on that, but we just kind of want to hop on and be like, holy cow!
Yeah.
It's been a crazy week. I think the last time we came to you on a Wednesday saying, hey, we're getting ready to start this journey that we weren't expecting, and we just want to check in and let you know that it's been a crazy journey. We're okay. Yeah, we're more than okay.
Yeah.
We're more than okay. And you are more than okay. You're more than okay. We love you. We see you. We appreciate you. And we got your back. We got your back. We got good stuff coming.
Yep.
And so do you.
All right.
Chicken
Here's
and
that
rice.
breath.
Here it comes.
The mystery of the missing chicken.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for reals.
Anyways, a story for another day. Until next time, my friends.
Be bold.
Be brave.
Be a rebel. We'll see you soon.
Dun, dun, dun.